if, there's another guy around and we, bump into one another, am I going to be like, yo, bro, watch out, hang on, back off, bro. Like, that's not, but that's by no means my style.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We always strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy and positive approach to non-monogamy.
However, everyone approaches this a little different, and at its core, our show is about hearing and learning from the different experiences and approaches people have. With that in mind, it's important to remember that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of our own.
It's also important to remember that we aren't doctors or therapists and that we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on this show.
One final thing that we need to let you know about is that this podcast will hopefully include some explicit language. So, if that kind of thing offends you, we suggest you just keep listening until it no longer does. However, if you're under the age of 18, you should probably stop listening or gather up your parents and listen as a family. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 47, everyone. Today, first off, we're Finn and Emma, and today we have an incredible interview with a couple named Kat and Tom.
It's a super duper fun interview. Actually, it's one of the wilder ones we've done. And a couple of quick disclaimers on this one, things that happen that may seem confusing to the listener. So the first one is, at some point, there's a real name gets dropped that was a mistake.
Uh-huh.
And then there's some reactions to that, and then it's funny, and it just flows really well into what continues happening. So the easiest way for me to edit that without ruining the flow was to just silence the name, which you won't even really tell it happened. You'll just hear somebody start swearing about it, and then we just kind of move on. But it was really the easiest way to handle it. So that's what happened there. On top of that, there's about 20 seconds of audio right in the middle that gets a little bit goofy. And basically what happened is there was times where they would try to re-record it, and it didn't flow right. They have a lot of energy, as you will see.
Yes.
And that energy got lost in them trying to recreate what they were saying. So I kind of left it and then pieced together the pieces after that made it seem the most natural. So it's going to get weird, and then we're going to repeat ourselves just a little bit for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then boom, right on to the next thing. You won't even know what happened, but you'll be laughing. It'll be funny.
There's also a dog that makes an appearance named Einstein.
Yep, Einstein will be there. Yeah, so... last thing, there's some didgeridoo at the end. So stick around for our first ever didgeridoo solo.
Woohoo! Yeah, they're awesome couple, super fun to talk to, and I hope everyone enjoys this interview as much as we did.
And if you are smart and you use speed up function on your podcast player, because I talk super slow.
You do, yes.
You may want to slow her down for this episode. Otherwise, just trust me, slow it back to normal speed, and you'll thank me when you're done.
Yes, I think that'd be a good idea.
Now, something super exciting. We've talked about some big announcements this year, and this was one of the ones we've been working on in the background.
Yeah.
Tell them what it is.
Well, we have a new contest, and it's with the company STD Check. And this, first off, is a company that we really believe in, and we've been trying to work with to bring something extra special to our listeners, because it is a really great way to get checked for STIs, and we want to spread more of that out there.
Yeah, and so they were willing to give us 4 $50 gift cards to our listeners. So in order to win them, you need to go to our website. Right on the homepage, there'll be a link, or you can go to
normalizingnonmonogamy.com/contest.
And there'll be all the full information there. But basically, there's a really short survey. It's 5 questions from them. And
it'll take 30 seconds.
Yeah, not even, depending on how fast you click. And then we have a special requirement that we are looking for. What we want to hear is your elevator speech. And so if you don't know what the elevator speech is, it was sort of came about from Reed Mahalko, who is a sex educator. And it's basically the way that he kind of coined strategy for divulging when you got tested, what were your results, what are the things you're into, what are the things you're not into, and how do you, what are your safer sex protocols? And then it invites the other person to share theirs. So
Right.
What we're going to do with these is we're going to take them all and we're going to compile them into an episode that's going to be a special release. It won't take the place of an interview.
Yep, it'll be a special release on a Monday.
Yeah, it'll basically then give everybody a whole bunch of elevator speech examples to listen to, so you can start to craft your own and get better at having these conversations, which are super important.
Right.
So if you want some examples...
First off, how are they going to do that?
Yeah, that's right. Well, when you go to that contest page, there's going to be a gigantic button that says, click here for a recording, and it's going to send us a recording of you giving your elevator speech.
Yeah, they'll send us an email with an audio file. So
Yep. We won't share them. If you put in there, like, I'm so-and-so and I don't want this shared, we won't share it. We won't even include it, but we would love to hear them.
yes.
I was going to run through an elevator speech real quick, but because I don't want to waste your time and mine, well, it's not mine. It's yours, really, because I don't have anything else to do with my life other than record episodes.
Oh, yes, we do. But
There will be on that contest page, there will be a link to an article about the elevator speech from Reed Mahalko's website, as well as a link to a YouTube video where you can listen to him run through his elevator speech. And then after this contest, you're going to have an episode with probably 1,000 elevator speeches.
let's hope so.
Maybe
Well, that might
2,000.
be a really long episode, but
But anyway, that's what we want from you, and we will then randomly pick 4 winners for the $50 gift cards. And yeah. That's what we got. So we're excited for this.
I was say we're super excited for this, and we hope all of you are as well. And we really hope that you'll be willing to share your elevator speeches with us, and
the listeners, because it's just to help. I mean, literally, this does nothing but make your life better out in the swinging or poly or whatever non-monogamy world you're in.
Yeah.
Or even not. Even if you're just in the single dating life and you're at the bar and you can't have these conversations, you got to step your game up.
Yeah, we want to put a piece of content out there that people can listen to and learn from.
So go forth and win some gift cards. We will see everybody on the other side of this wicked interview.
I would say now go enjoy this amazing interview.
Tom and Kat, thank you.
And dog.
And dog. Tom, Kat, dog.
We may hear dog. That is true. Dog's name is Einstein, by the way.
All right,
That's awesome.
Tom, Kat, and Einstein, thank you for taking some time out of your evening pre-long trip to chat with us, and post-long trip. You guys are right in the middle.
Right. No, thank you guys for staying up late for us.
Yeah, we're super excited.
Absolutely. Well, for anybody, including ourselves, who really doesn't know anything about you other than what you had on your Cassidy profile, do you mind sharing a little bit about who you both are for anyone out there who decided to listen today?
Yeah, I'm Kat, and this is Tom.
Hey.
I'm 30.
32.
32.
Yeah.
Age.
Just a number.
Yeah. And we live in California. And we've been swinging swinging is such a weird word, but, opening-ish.
Exploring.
Yeah, exactly. Exploring for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We started right around our, what was it?
4-year anniversary.
4-year. Yeah. We were actually in New York is where we met. So originally from kind of the Bible Belt, and then both moved out to New York and met there. And
we've been together for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Married for 4, swinging for 1.5.
Keeps
counting.
getting longer every time. So who was the instigator and chief of this adventure?
I don't know. We kind of just fell into it. It just naturally happened. I think we're both naturally open people.
Yeah.
From our theater backgrounds, you kind of grow up with theater friends, and you just kind of huggy and really free and open with each other.
Yeah.
Not that we ever did anything with anyone, but I think that mentality carried through and allowed us to have those conversations early on about, oh, that person's hot, that person's attractive. And then it turned into being like, well, we're kind of bored. So.
Well, it wasn't so bored. It was just we've always been kind of like, again, bringing in more people kind of like to a, just from a connection perspective, right? It wasn't always, it was very platonic, but we always had pretty big social circles. And we really enjoyed the company of other people. And once we met each other, I think it was very much butterflies, like a traditional kind of what you would think of as a quote unquote normal, socially normal relationship. You fall in love with that one person, you get engaged, you get married. We took that path initially. And then things were still really, really good, but you lose that fire necessarily of the physical portion. And it's not that I don't love her any less or that she loves me any less. It was just a matter of
there's not that instinctual drive. Yeah, and we actually both read, I don't know what got us to read it, but Sex at Dawn. Right?
Yeah.
Sex at Dawn. I always want to say Sex Before Dawn, but I think it's just Sex at Dawn.
Yeah.
It's a different type of book.
At sunset. Yes.
Yeah. And that really got us to start having those conversations just about the societal norms that we were raised in. Because I'm from Texas, so I know if I reflect back on my life, not that anyone was like, you can't have sex and you can't do these things, but I certainly was raised in a area of America that is like that. And it made me feel, it made me not think outside of those norms and that things could be a different way until we read that book. It kind of had, and we both grew a little bit.
Yeah.
That didn't really answer your question directly, but point is, we both kind of came to it together. It wasn't one person or the other being like, I want this. It was kind of like, hey, we should maybe try this together.
Right. I think I initially started listening to Sex with Emily. I don't know if you've heard of that podcast, but it's she basically talks about all things sexuality, and it's not primarily just this a lifestyle swinging podcast. It talks about everything. And she mentioned the book. I started reading the book. I think I was the first one to download it, and we both started reading it together, a little book club, sexual book club. And then we ended up getting into kind of opening our eyes more towards wait a minute, we're not weird for feeling this way, and kind of wanting to maybe more than just talk to other people. Yeah.
And so was it ever, when you started having these conversations, were either of you ever scared or nervous about bringing it up? Because somebody had to broach the conversation first. It's most likely, I can't imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just knew that
telepathically knew. Exactly.
I mean, well, it probably was Tom. It was probably Tom, because I think I'm a lot more quiet and not repressed. That's the wrong word, but a little more reserved. And I kind of never, I don't know. My personal sexuality is someone has to remind me that there's sex, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah, that person's looking at me in a sexual way. Maybe I'm interested in it too. Otherwise, I'm like, here's this geode or this feather I found,
or this didgeridoo.
So you probably brought those things up a lot more often, but
definitely.
I was never scared. I don't know. Were you scared of bringing this up?
No, communication-wise I don't think communication's ever been a problem between the two of us. I'm definitely the more sexual one in the relationship. Like Kat's saying, is it's very much you got to kind of bring her into the mood for sure. I mean, again, that's a lot of people, but it's very much you have to almost remind oh yeah, that's a thing. That's something that we do for enjoyment outside of just other life. So I don't know.
Yeah, but when you brought it up, I'm just trying to think.
I'm trying to remember when we brought it up. All I do recall is that it was the book that kind of got the initial.
Yeah, I think you bring up the book, and then we both read it together, and just starting to talk about what it might be like to be with other people. And there's definitely those nerves of how's the other person gonna respond to it. But because we're so open with each other, it wasn't like I'm gonna lose this person, or they're gonna hate me or anything like that. Right. It was just what do you think? And then we both were like, yeah, that sounds interesting. Maybe not right now. Because, I mean, again, we had these conversations several years ago before we tried anything. So we definitely, slowly progressed to where we are now.
And what took you over the threshold into the full-on debaucherous world of swinging?
Or what were those? Yeah, what were those first steps looking like?
Yeah, well, I think, if we're being candid, like eventually it was just like, we've been married for so long, we feel like we're being roommates. I want to satisfy Tom in ways that, well, I want Tom to be satisfied in ways that I feel like I can't fully do all the time, and vice versa. And that conversation, kind of having that compersion kind of mentality, helped us take that step into it. So actually we went to New York. So now we live in California, but we went to New York for work, but also like our anniversary last year in October. And we were like, hey, you know what? There's a sex club there. Let's go check it out, because they also have a swingers 101 class. And the thing I was most afraid of was not having sex with other people, but just STDs. Because I in my mind, it's just like, everyone has them and we're going to get them. And I don't know what to do about that or how to bring it up. And I wanted to...
Full body condom.
I wanted I wanted someone to tell us that it wasn't as prevalent and people are safe. And, now I know those things are a lot more... I'm more knowledgeable about that stuff now, but at the time I was just thinking it was going to be creepy and all this kind of stuff. So the Swinger 101 class sounded like a really good way to like learn and ask those questions.
Yeah.
And how to ask those questions. Exactly. Yeah. That was the main thing, is like, how do you, kind of break the ice there and still address that and be, mindful of everyone and make sure that everyone is, on the same page and comfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
And
we did this with class.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did the Swinging 101 class live up to its name, and did it do what you had hoped?
Yes and no. So it was cool to like go to a sex club and see like the layout. They give you a tour and everything, and then I don't remember the owner's name or but let's not get into names. But
it's at the club itself was called Bowery Bliss.
Yeah, so. And it was great. All that was great. It was just funny because it was like this big, like really Brooklyn guy talking about sex and stuff. And then he like
super nice guy.
It was
really
great.
Really great.
It was
addressed all our questions.
Not what I expected. And I probably dressed up a little too much. I had like this little black dress and stuff, and not, which I normally don't. So I was like overdone, I felt. But anyways, there was like two other people, and like, in those, like, everyone, why do all these sex clubs have leather couches? I don't know, but there was leather couches. and he like had flashcards, and he went through like the kind of questions that people, I guess, typically ask. But there was one that he always keeps towards the end, which is of course the STD one. And he wants someone to ask. And of course I was the one to ask. And he said, well, it's just the risk you take. And that wasn't really the answer that I wanted. I wanted him to kind of give a little more direction to how we should ask and stuff. But obviously we figured that out. Actually by listening to y'all's podcast and with Mr. and Mrs. Jones and stuff like that. So we've found our way thus far, but they didn't really answer those questions fully for us there. But it was a fun night.
Yeah, no, I mean, Finn, to your question, for me, did it answer, do its thing? Yes, because it was the first step for us actually getting into, we stayed that night, we met some really cool people. That first experience, we had kind of a whirlwind, or I should say that first night, it was a whirlwind of experiences, because we had one bad experience in the sense that there was a couple that would not leave us alone.
Oh, it wasn't bad. It was just like learning experience.
It was a learning experience, correct. It wasn't bad but it was that learning of like, how do we say no? How do we give the impression that like, thank you very much. However, not, interested in pursuing this conversation further. So there was a little bit of that. And then there was, it ended with a big spin the bottle game and then a 7-person orgy on a table or on a bed. So it was kind of a like jump into the deep end after the 101 all in, a 4 or 5 hour period.
Yeah, I was gonna say you both just jumped right in, huh?
Yeah, we didn't do a full swap, but we did like make out with other people, and like, it's so interesting because I'm like, oh, finger. I'm like, can I say that? Like,
no, you're not allowed to say finger.
No, not allowed to say that at all. Anyways, we played around with each other, and that was like the first time to have that experience with someone else. And then what was nice, I think, is we came back to each other towards the end and like had that moment to kind of be like, we'll make out and have our own thing. And then once we left from there, we like went out to the pier or the whatever, somewhere in
Yeah, well, we walked out to the East River.
Yeah, and we just like reflected on everything and talked about how awesome that felt and how the jealousy and things that we thought we would experience didn't happen at all. And we actually, it was like true conversion.
Yeah.
It was so zen. No, it felt really good though. I expected more emotional feelings or like bad emotional feelings, or was prepping myself for that, but none of that happened. It was crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And going into that, had you guys laid out rules and sort of boundaries of like what you wanted to, in terms of whether what you wanted to experience or maybe where your limits were in terms of things that you wanted to do that first night?
When we went into the night, we were definitely making sure we originally planned to stay with one another and, constantly check in. So that was really the rule we had, so to speak, up front, or the agreement, was really just to constantly be checking in. And if we wanted to play the spin the bottle game, or if we wanted to go and have that 7-person orgy.
But we did know that we didn't want to do a full swap that night.
Right.
We were fine with obviously soft swapping, but we did have like that rule, like this is our first night. Let's just slowly get into it, even though it wasn't orgy, but slowly get into it and not fully swap with people because, we want to make sure that you can't read your partner's every moment or mood, even if you're like communicating with each other. And since it was our first night, I think it was a good choice not to fully. Also, I don't think we were compelled enough or like physically able to. I think we were both in it was weird. Like you're turned on, but your like body's like, but wait, no. So it was like an odd in between feeling that I don't even know if I could have been like able to have sex with someone else just out of like a physical comfortability thing.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, that was like our line is like, okay, soft swap, even though the couple wanted us to.
Well, yeah, they
were very nice about it though. They were like, "You want to?" We're like, "No," and they're like, "Cool," and then we kept making.
That's true.
They were a good first couple too. To like, the main couple we were with in the orgy of people. They were a really good couple to like experience that with because they're around our age and they were very understanding and very like helpful and showing us like what to kind of do and how to get into things and not feel like awkward or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They were great mentors
Yeah.
for the evening. It was a really good experience. Yeah.
So after you left New York, then how did you proceed, I guess, when you got back home?
We started going to so a lot of our experiences have primarily been like sex clubs or another like a woman, like a threesome in our house. I don't know why at our house, but and it's always a friend, which I know is like a no-no, but our friends are really cool. So, so that's like what we've experienced thus far. I think we've talked about this a lot, but going forward, something that I definitely want to do is go on more dates and meet people because I'm very attracted to people's personalities more than just looks. And I think that's really hard to get at a club. It really is very physical at the club.
Yeah.
And also, like you can go and it's like, sometimes there's people there, sometimes they're not. You're just kind of hoping that you're spending however much money you are to get in and find people you connect with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when we got back, we went to the club in San Francisco. And I think the first few times we went, we just kind of again played with each other and got comfortable with the surroundings. And then eventually, there's one story. Okay, so funny thing. So we went. I'm trying to think of this one time. So this one time we went, and I was like kind of feeling it, kind of not. I was like, I don't know if I'm in the mood or not. But we went. And we were kind of hanging out, and I turned to Tom, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just done. Let's just go.
And at the moment, by the way, this was only like our third time going, and I was like, wait, like done with it all? Like, like we're never going to do this again? Okay. I mean, I'll adjust. I'll figure it out. But
no, I sure
spend a night.
I was like, no, I'm just like, tonight I'm tired. Blah, blah, blah. I love my naps, so,
It was bedtime.
As we were about to leave, this couple crawled to us because we were in like the sex room where everyone's naked and doing things. And they like crawled to us and they were like, "Can I have a taste?"
Literally looking at
me so off guard.
Yeah, looked at me and I was like, "I'm okay with that, but you're gonna have to ask her." And he like looks over at her and is like, "May I have a taste?"
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So then this random couple ate me out, and it was a very It was a great experience. It's not normal for me to do that kind of stuff. So it was very liberating, but that was, I don't know, that was like our first time to actually like start to have like oral kind of sexual things get involved with the swinging. So like, again, all very incremental. And all very nice. It wasn't like tonight we're doing oral and tomorrow we're having sex. Like it's not planned like that by any means, but it just seems that our experiences have kind of built up to eventually full swapping. What happened after that?
After that was, I think, the next time where we went with our friend, same club, and we went with, a friend of ours, and she joined us, and very quickly a couple came in, and came over.
Were hot.
They were also awesome. Yeah, they were definitely freaking hot. So they came over and they started chatting with us, and 30 minutes later, we're all in the back, and having a fun little rendezvous on the beds back in the
fiver, whatever you call it.
A fiver.
A fiver.
It lasted like
$5 foot long, or $5 maybe 6 inches up.
Which lasted like 3 hours, by the way, which was crazy. I'm not used to, I feel like in the swinging world, things like maybe this is just our experiences, but it was like you look at the clock, you're like, holy shit, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, how did I have sex for that long? But that was our full swap experience is 3 ladies, 2 guys, and it all worked really well. There was none of that. Again, like I worry about that kind of those awkward moments, but I'm getting more used to it, just being like, whatever, if it's awkward, whatever. But
we've been very lucky in that sense. Like, we have not had any really, truly, I know I said earlier about a bad experience. It was not even a bad experience. It was a learning lesson, exactly what you said. But we've been very lucky with the people we've come in contact with, and we've had a lot of luck at clubs. Like Kat was saying, I mean, we've only had friends who have joined us outside of a club, and so far, only women so far, but definitely looking to find somebody for...
We're gonna find that lumberjack.
She's so, you're just very particular. That's all. Nothing wrong with that. But
But so that was our full swap, and we've gone back to the club a few times and done more like full swap things. Then we had a friend come over and had a threesome with her, and it's been all good, really good so far. We definitely want to experience more, and I definitely want to like find, what are they called? The male
Pegasus.
No, y'all. The guy equivalent to a woman.
Pegasus or bull.
Bull. Thank you. Yeah. I think that would be fun, but that's something we haven't gotten to yet. Again, I'm really picky about that kind of stuff, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. If anyone's listening, find us. You're my man.
Qualify as lumberjack material.
Casting us up.
So I'm curious. What's that?
Yeah, go for it.
No, just it's a shameless plug.
No, so I'm curious for anybody who is approaching, and the couple that approached and asked for consent in the playroom. I think for one, it's awesome that they asked, but is the line "may I have a taste"? Is that really the way to get in your pants? Just for future reference.
That's a great question. I always appreciate humor. But it definitely like caught me off guard a little bit when he asked. But I wasn't like, oh, why would you ask that? No.
Right.
But I kind of giggled and then was fine with it. Though it's definitely not what I like fantasize of someone like coming to ask me. Oh man.
I'm asking for Emma's benefit.
Yeah, I was saying. I would appreciate the ask, but I would also be like, man, you could have asked that in a better way.
Right? I know. Yeah. You gotta be gentle with the men. Sometimes they don't have the best pickup lines, but they have the best intent. So
we mean well
to eat you out.
I wanted to know. So you mentioned a couple of threesomes, and it sounds like you, Kat, you've been experimenting with bisexuality based on having threesomes. I could be assuming there, but is that something you had been curious about before, or that you had identified as before?
I'd say heteroflexible. Is that the term? Yeah. I'm not necessarily bi. Like, I haven't gone down on anyone, and I don't know if that's something that I would do or could do well, at least. I'm not closed off to it, but it has to be someone I'm really comfortable with. and that I really, really trust. I think when we've had these first full swap experiences with people, and obviously women involved, I haven't felt comfortable enough doing that yet. For some reason, I'm comfortable with guys. I think it's because I'm used to that. That's just been my whole life. Male-female relationships. But I'm definitely attracted to women. I think they're beautiful creatures. They have very soft skin and very beautiful, shape and stuff. And I love that. But I think I'm just more attracted to personalities in the end. Mm-hmm. So if I really connect with someone and then we start to, get busy, I guess, then I'll see where I'm taken. But the first initial time we hook up with people, I don't feel comfortable doing that right away. So far, I haven't gone down on anyone, but I've let plenty of women go down on me, but not forcefully. They want to do it.
It's usually, I was saying she's a giver, and she literally, I think the first time that happened, it was because you were like, well, they're going to enjoy this, so it's not going to hurt.
Yeah,
so go for
it. And how about you, Tom? Have you explored your sexuality at all?
I'm definitely more, that hetero comfortable. So, but by no means, if, there's another guy around and we, bump into one another, am I going to be like, yo, bro, watch out. Hang on, back off, bro. Like, that's not, but that's by no means my style. I've done everything under the sun except, I guess, be physical with a man. And so, there's definitely areas that I would probably branch out into, in the sense of, we've even talked about this, about like if a guy if we were with somebody who was bisexual or, also exploring, themselves, I would probably be comfortable allowing for them to maybe do things, go down on me. But that's totally something that I'm in, I've thought about, haven't done yet. So it's still just kind of in the bank of like, maybe one day, but we're not seeking it out.
Yeah, we're not really the mentality of like, I'll never try that, because we don't know how we'll be. I mean, even with swinging, like, I think that was like a way far in our relationship. Something got brought in that, like, this was like the first year, and it's like, well, right now, no, but I don't know how I'll feel in 5 years, And I think we both have that mentality of I'll never say no to something fully. Maybe not right now, but I don't know how I'll feel in a few years or a few months or whatever. Maybe I'll be different then.
Right.
Yeah.
And have you guys thought about what have you found works best for you in terms of relationship dynamics with other people? Is it like a friends with benefits, or is it just like we go to the club, we meet people one night, and then we have a great time, but we don't see them again? Have you talked about exploring the polyamory side and that type of thing?
So we've discussed polyamory. I don't think that's where we are at the moment. Again, we're not closed off to that maybe being in the future, who knows? But right now, what seems to be working, we definitely like people, like friends, or I wouldn't just say just friends, people we know or have gotten to know, that we hook up with, is definitely a closer experience where we feel more connected with them. But thus far with all the club experiences have been more of that, we'll never see you again kind of situation.
Yeah, and if we have a really good connection at the club, we always exchange information. That time in New York, for instance, we have information. That's fine, couple. But
we contact them again if we go back to New York. I think that would definitely happen. Just because of the amount of times we've gone, which hasn't been like the craziest amount yet, because it really has only been a year and a half. Right now we haven't had the opportunities like to meet back up with people that we've connected with. But I think that's definitely something I personally want to do in the future. I want to meet people that we're not only friends with, but we also fuck. No, but that we can, be open in all of the different realms of our friendship. We just haven't had time really to connect with people like that yet, or go on dates yet. And I think that's kind of where it's going to happen.
Yeah. The most success, though, just to kind of get to the question, the most success so far has been in the club, and it has been mostly one-off, with a handful of friends with benefits so far that we have as close friends. But yeah, we both definitely want to find people who we can connect with on a deeper level than just that one-off. So yeah, that's ideal.
Yeah, and so what? You got a question? Okay, no, go ahead.
How has swinging, I guess, impacted your relationship over the last year and a half? Has it what are some of the strengths and or challenges that you've encountered?
I think it's been great. It's funny when you were saying that question, we like looked at each other and smiled. It has like helped us so much in our relationship. I don't think we've ever felt closer and more open and more understanding of each other. That's probably the thing that we enjoy most from it. After the first night that we did a full swap, after the first night we did the full swap, that whole week we had sex like multiple times, which hadn't happened in a really long time. It was like we just started dating. Yeah, it was so great. So that was really an awesome feeling to feel like reinvigorated in that way, but also just on a friendship and like, spouse level, we feel just so much more connected. Yeah. And more appreciative. Appreciative. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because there is that risk, right? I mean, everybody who does this and who's in the lifestyle knows of that risk and that feeling of, and I mean, I don't know if this ever goes away for some people, maybe it does, but there is still that initial tinge of, and this is what most people avoid this and would never do it. Yeah, the fear of jealousy of that this person might leave me. And,
right.
That's that once you kind of face that head on and you confront that, it's a really, I mean, you said this earlier, but it's the word that comes to mind right now, but liberating feeling internally for, literally oneself. For me, I was like, wow, okay, I'm feeling this, but why am I feeling this? What is it, really that's bothering me here? And knowing that it's, just a trust cap to, have sex with another man or woman and know that it's okay for that to be happening. Because it doesn't mean that she's going to, again, you come back and we wake up next to each other. We, like there's still that base and that foundation that we have.
I feel like we leveled up.
Yeah, leveled up.
Have you had those feelings of jealousy at all?
I think you've had them a little more than me. I've always been kind of like, like I always kind of face jealousy as like, okay, what is jealousy, right? And then I kind of like break it down and I'm like, okay, now I'm over it. I think Tom had a little bit more to get past that. Now, this was actually before we even started swinging. I think that you kind of got past it.
Yeah. No, I definitely was cursed with a little more of the jealousy bug. This has by far helped to kind of squash that little gremlin in the head that, says, oh, if she does this, you're not worthy. Yeah, you're not worthy. She's never coming back to you, loser. And that's like, it's like, oh, come on. Like, that's something that you have to, again, face a little bit head on and have to dissect and think about, well, where are these feelings actually coming from? It's coming from me. And she's there to reassure and be like, there's no way in hell that this one experience is going to replace everything that we have these 8 years of, an amazing relationship that has only gotten better over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and was there an experience that kind of helped you? Like, can you pinpoint an experience, I guess, that happened that you're like, that was the thing that happened that allowed me to move past it? Or was it just a gradual build-up?
The thing that comes to my mind, I don't know if you've got another, but the thing that comes to my mind is when we really started, before our anniversary, before we went to New York last year. Actually, no, Vegas.
Oh yeah,
Vegas, baby. We went to Vegas for, I think it was like, and it wasn't, I don't remember, last year in like February or something along those lines. And it was funny because we were in Vegas, and I think you made the suggestion to go to a strip club, or was it me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know, but we went.
We ended up going. Love with it.
You keep.
God damn it! I keep saying it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll take it out. All
right, we're gonna start this one over one more time. Vegas, baby. No, I think it was Vegas. It was definitely Vegas. We went to Vegas last February, and I think it was you, it was me, I don't remember, but we ended up at a strip club. Somebody made the suggestion to go to a strip club, and Kat fell in love with a stripper.
Yeah, her name was Moxie, and it was really hot. But she was coming on to me strong. I know that's strip clubs and they're supposed to do that, but she was great. she was like, this was like, I didn't expect this at all. Like we went to these strip clubs just to kind of, it's Vegas, just have fun and be silly. And this one stripper was really awesome and came up to me, and we were just like talking about Instagram or something. Mm-hmm. And then eventually she was like making out with me. She was doing far more than I don't know. Maybe she does this to other women too, but it felt like she was doing far more with us than normal. sure how it is with everyone there.
Yeah.
But that kind of like opened up the door. Like later when we left, I was like, man, I wish she would just come home with us. Like I was like super excited about it, and we hadn't even been like talking about sweet. Well, I mean that was a different context because it's threesomes, but still, like that was what I was like kind of heartbroken the next day. Like, staring out the window.
We literally went to a restaurant. She's out the window, just
daydreaming.
Moxie. You can see it behind the eyes.
So that kind of started it all.
You were saying that broke you from the jump.
Hey, can we call you right back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Something
Sorry,
got
it
messed
just got
up.
all goofy on us. Vegas, baby. Let's hear it again.
But anyway, so that we kind of all like made out with each other and went to the private room and stuff, and that was really, really fun. And then afterwards, the next day, slightly hungover, I was like staring out the window and daydreaming about Moxie, knowing I'd never see her again in my life. And I think that's when Tom kind of just got over it and realized like, oh, you know what, this isn't something that, it's not like Kat's gonna run away with whoever this person is that she's fantasizing about or whatever. This is something we get to do together. I mean, as long as we do it together, we won't be jealous. So, we've talked about like, not, what was it called? Like swapping, not where you're in separate rooms.
Yeah, separate rooms.
Terrible terminology. Anyways, we haven't done that yet. And that's probably something we won't do for a little while until we really get, I guess, a few more holes in our belt.
Experiences.
I don't know if holes like going,
notches?
Notches. And I also don't know if that's going inward or outward. Are we gaining weight or are we losing weight?
It depends what you're into.
Little BDSM.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, that was definitely the first kind of spark, I think, that got the ideas going in Kat's head of, bringing in some other people. But then also it was my first seeing that and being like, oh, interesting. Yeah, she's totally with another person right now, and it's pretty hot. So yeah. So thank you, Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas, baby, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think any of those would resurface when you get to a point where you do play with a single male or a bull or whatever the terminology you want to use for it?
In my mind at this point, no. I've seen Kat now with a couple of other men, and it honestly is just I've those initial feelings of jealousy I used to feel have really converted and changed into being able to see the pleasure that she's receiving. And when she's in those moments, and typically so far I've always also been engaged, but we're so we're close, we're sharing the moments where and it's this just wonderful thing to see that she's getting that, even if it is from someone else. Satisfaction. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I can't say absolutely with certainty that that won't ever, surface again, which is something else we've talked about and I think is incredibly important for anyone who's venturing into the lifestyle to talk about, is what does happen in those situations that you can't predict. When feelings come up that you have no idea that this is what you're going to feel. And though we have not had a really bad experience or anything yet, we're not ignorant to the fact that we very well and probably will one day. And how are we going to address that, and how, the next day or over the next week or the next, however long it might take. So, we're very lucky to not have had that yet, but
we both understand that that's probably going to happen eventually. And when that does happen, I think we're both, well, hopefully ready to know that this is going to be a talking point and something we need to work out, but we're both committed to each other to work that out. So we're prepped in that way. I mean, you never can predict what's going to happen or hopefully nothing bad at all, but
right. You kind of do the prep work to have that emotional, and I don't want to call it a bug out bag, but that's, that kind of, because that makes it sound like you're ready to leave, but like that emotional, like emergency kit, right? So as long as you've done the homework to kind of fill that emotional emergency kit,
which is really just communication.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And so one other thing that I had wanted to ask was, early on you guys mentioned that, a lot of times sex was sort of an afterthought at least on Kat's behalf, in terms of, it seems like a lot of other things take priority. And since you guys have started doing this, has this shifted sex back to the forefront for you, Kat?
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think it's just my upbringing. I think just coming from Texas and being in a conservative kind of area and being raised that way, maybe not ever explore my sexuality. And now that, and it took a couple of years, Tom was really good and patient with me in the first initial years, because he's always been very sexual and open and loving as well. And it took me a couple of years this is again before swinging, to really be okay with my sexuality. And I would say swinging has actually really brought that on with me. I've opened up so much more, and I'm so much happier too. I don't feel, I don't know. I want to tell the world.
I want to scream it from the
mountaintop. Everyone should be swinging. No. But it's really opened me up to be a lot less initially judgmental. Not that I know that's a harsh word, but again, being raised in that atmosphere, you just kind of are that way at first. And I feel like I've gotten past that, and I've really expanded my boundaries and really gotten into being okay with how I feel and being okay with getting pleasure and experiencing new things. Maybe I'm not like 100% comfortable in everything, but it's not a bad uncomfortability. It's kind of like okay, this is new. I still feel safe, all the good positive things. I'm going to try this, even though I'm slightly nervous. Mm-hmm. But it's all been good so far. It's really liberating. We keep saying that word, lubricating and liberating.
They're good words.
Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's just kind of helped you let go of a lot of the hang-ups you grew up with, and I think a lot of us have grown up with.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, that's amazing and exciting to hear. It's really liberating.
Yeah.
We also heard on one of your episodes about kind of the education system, right? I mean, that doesn't help any of it with the upbringing. It's like nobody really teaches sexual education in a way that would be really beneficial and productive. The reproductive system is not taught productively, and it's really kind of sad, because a lot of people are just myself included, but I'm growing up, and there's a very kind of just disjointed way of looking at sex from a young age. And when you do come into your own, and you start to grow up, and you really realize, wait a minute, there's you do the research, of course. I mean, you read books, you listen to the podcast, you do all that. You start to open your mind in this way, and it's honestly like waking up your actual sexual
reborn.
Yeah, kind of reborn. Yeah, I mean, and seeing it from more than just a sex only has to be about procreation, and it's also
someone you only love and the only person for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life, exactly. And yeah. And it's also very. I mean, again, you hear this on a lot of podcasts as well, but there's such a misogynistic drive behind it all that is very also unhealthy, and that again, bringing in the compersion aspect and much more consent, teaching that consent is huge. So. I just think that teaching needs to be rethought, but
well,
of course,
a lot of societal things need to change.
Yeah,
true.
I think we would agree with you 100% on that. And there's just so much in the education system that, especially revolving sex ed, that could be improved and expanded on, and a lot more, I guess, discussed than just what is sex and the actual physical act of what is sex, and that's it.
Totally. 100%.
So, you were going to ask.
Mm-hmm. I was going to circle back for a minute.
I love you guys when you do that, by the way. It's so
go to interrupt each other.
Yes.
I wanted to circle back, and at the beginning, I know, Kat, you mentioned like the first thing you were afraid of was staying safe and safety among STIs and that type of thing, and you wanted to find that out at the Swinging 101 class. How have you learned to have those conversations, and how have you learned to navigate that?
And I'm gonna also throw in there, how did you get past really not getting the answer you wanted that night and still moving to a place where you were comfortable engaging in a 7-person orgy.
Well, okay, so the first night, luckily, we didn't like do anything that involved like cross contamination.
Yeah, no penetration, no
Yeah.
oral. It was all very
Just hands.
yeah, hands and kissing.
Yeah, and then of course, we both get regularly checked, so that's like not a problem at that point. But once we started doing the full swap stuff and the oral things is when I really wanted to make sure we started asking. And though that 101 class didn't help, I think just listening to y'all's podcast and Mr. and Mrs. Jones kind of helped us be like, okay, this seems to be something people just bring up and ask right out. So that's kind of what we've been doing in like a smooth way. Like, so, hey, we'll go to the back. Your STI clean, man. So, we just casually ask, you've been tested, we've been tested. And that tends to be the way we do it. We don't like see any paperwork, but then we get tested afterwards. So just to double check.
Right. Initially, I think we just had the fear also of like, is it okay to ask these things? And the longer, again, we're still very new to this in the sense of it's only been a year, but we're starting to realize that that's actually just kind of the norm in the sense of nobody's going to judge you for asking that, Yeah. So, I mean, a little bit of a dovetail off of this into a little bit of a new topic, but not too much. The people in this community are just incredible human beings. And that's one of the things I think is drawing us so much.
Considerate.
Yeah.
And understanding nice.
Yeah. Considerate and, direct, and some of the most real people we've met. And that's, I think, the thing that really it breathes excitement and life into us about, going to events or going to clubs is meeting like-minded people who, and going back to what your question was, Emma, asking a question like this isn't, what? It's not, you're not, how dare you? It's not that kind of a question in this community, in this lifestyle. It's like, oh yeah, no, we were tested recently, or, so, that's a roundabout way to get to your
No, but it's a good point. And two, if somebody does react that way, I think that tells you pretty much everything you need to know. Right there.
And we're good now. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say that we need to get better at saying, not saying like, okay, we're not interested in you, but being more clear about that. Like a lot of time at a few of the clubs or times we've gone to the clubs, like people will approach us because we're there early because I'm very time oriented. and it's like, okay, it's early. There's no one here. And these people come to talk to us. So we're very talkative people. I wouldn't say we're like extroverts, but we're definitely like.
Oh, really now?
I was going to say.
Extroverted introverts. I really like my alone time at home. But when we're out in public or like, having an interview or whatever, like, we definitely can be extroverted in that way. But my point is, like, I remember we were at the club a few, weeks ago or something, and this couple came up and we were there early again, and they were like talking with us. It's like, great, yeah, we'll talk with you. We're not really like interested, but we'll talk with you because there's no one else here and there's nothing else to do. And then the hours kept passing, and I kept drinking more champagne. And then eventually it was like, well, okay, now they clearly want to have sex with us, but we don't want to have sex with them. How do we?
And we've drank our bottle of champagne now, and
it's just like, how do we? I think we're still learning how to be like, we don't want to hurt people's feelings, so we're still learning how to be like, no. But when it's
politely,
in a weird,
disengage.
But when it's in a weird situation like that, where we were just there early and there was no one else around, like it's kind of hard to know when to be like, okay, we're not interested.
Yeah, that's definitely something we're still working on is how to politely,
say no.
Yeah, and I think that's something that it takes a long time to figure out, and we don't even still have that skill necessarily because we're very much the same way. We'll talk to just about anybody, and
we will talk to anybody.
Yeah,
because that's part of the fun of it is meeting tons of different people.
But
you better be open to it. You guys have an entire podcast based on it. So.
But even in our personal side of things, we try to talk to everybody, and it's hard you get to a point where you're like, we're enjoying talking, but we don't feel like we want to move beyond this, and now you kind of have to gracefully disengage, and and that's not always easy to do, but it's, in my opinion, it's much better because we've been on the reverse side of that where people won't even give you the time of day. Like we've been in clubs and we've tried to talk to people and they'll ignore us like we don't exist. And I was like, well, I know you can see me, so pretending you can't doesn't really do us any good. So
I know I'm in all black and blend in with this leather couch. But...
I wore my leather pants tonight, but I know you can see me.
I didn't know there'd be leather.
You in leather pants.
I know.
It's really funny now. The thought that just went through my head, Finn, is because someone had said that you had looked like Ross. I heard that episode. And the Friends episode. Stuck in
your leather pants.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking the episode of Pivot. Sorry.
That's only for the listeners who like the show Friends. Otherwise, just skip ahead 15
Netflix
seconds.
till the end of the year. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, that makes me laugh because it's so true.
I am not like Ross. Thank you.
I know you're not.
You have some striking characteristics that are a little bit similar.
So I had another question.
Changing topics.
Being that you are from the Bible Belt, have you either of you shared your adventures, or not necessarily the adventure part, but that you guys are that you have opened up, that you've opened up your relationship with anybody in your family or your friend circle besides the one that you have threesomes with?
Besides those guys. Well, so our friends here in the Bay Area, they for the most part know like all of our like best friends now. In fact, we just told the last couple that we've been waiting to tell, and it's
close friends.
And it was so funny because she was like, "Oh yeah, I already knew." And I was like, "What? No, come on."
You took the fun out. Yeah.
But yeah, so all of our friends here know, and that feels, again, I guess keep saying the word liberating, but it feels really great to be able to like talk openly about that kind of stuff. Not that any of them are swingers that I wish they were, but no pressure. But as for family, I don't know if I could ever tell my mom, my dad, or my brother, at least at the moment. I not that I think they would really judge me, just it's because we don't really bring up sex or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
How about you?
I am a little more open with friends even back home. I don't really mind talking about kind of personal things. I did breach the subject very briefly with my father, and it was just kind of a funny moment where it was just casually snuck in, and he didn't really pay much attention to it, and he didn't really go into asking, and I just left it at that as well.
Don't you feel like your dad was a swinger at one point too?
I feel as though he might have been. He's just, again, it's one of those topics that
now we have that game of like, who's a swinger?
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah.
Because I wonder if my dad and his wife are. I mean, my parents are divorced, so it's like a younger lady, and I wonder. I swear to God, they probably do. Like, I just feel like they do.
They probably do. I'm pretty sure of it, but I don't know. That's my guess. That's my guess. Yeah. But yeah, no. I mean, as far as family goes, no, I don't. I would not talk to anyone other than my father about something like that in my family. If they found out, it wouldn't be the end of the world. We're very comfortable with kind of who we are when someone knows. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt any relationships or anything. It's just a matter of comfortability.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of times you'll find that people on the swinging side don't necessarily bring it up, but a lot of times more on the poly side because it tends to be a more integral part of who they are. There's other partners and there's so I think that makes sense. It's not like we go around telling our parents about our sex lives together, so why would we tell them about our sex lives with
exactly
people?
Right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
What, you guys don't talk about that?
Yeah, just at Sunday dinner, but not other days of the week. So
now we have told our little boy Einstein, once again reminding everyone there's a dog here.
Yes, remember Einstein?
He knows everything. Actually, funny story. when we were like initiating or having like actually it was the first time Tom got a double blowjob. It was me and our other friends who all
But
just
not Einstein. It wasn't
not
you.
Einstein, but we're like we forgot that like we're so used to having our dog around and like being on the floor or whatever when we're having sex on the bed, so we don't normally think about it because you just kind of get used to your animals being around. But we were participating and this double blowjob, and then like here's this dog like right next to us, and Dee was like, can we like do something with the dog? We're like, oh yeah, oh my god, we're so used to having him around. So we like shoved him in the kitchen and put like the gate up, and he was just like whining at us. It was like a really weird moment. It was funny. Luckily she's our friend and it's not a big deal. We know better now, but but it was a funny moment of like, oh yeah, dog, go over there.
Yeah, if you're not used to having pets around, when they're there, it can kind of like throw you off. You're like, oh,
right?
something is watching me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not humans watching me. Yeah.
And that's why we prefer not to have things at our apartment.
Well, I think maybe that leads into, even though you did just share a blooper, we like to ask a fun or sexy blooper that has happened to you guys besides your dog nosing around where he doesn't need to be.
Oh my God, I feel like we've told y'all our embarrassing.
I know. I feel like the most embarrassing ones have probably already been covered. The one thing that I can remember that does kind of come to the champagne night, actually, when we
oh my God, yeah. Oh goodness.
Well, so we met this. So
don't judge me.
No, it's not that bad. But this is where communication really comes in handy. Let's just put it this way. We had met another couple there, and it was actually we ended up meeting a different couple than the one that started that story earlier. But we met the couple. We ended up in the back. We're she's with him. I'm with the lady, and we're engaging and Kat's with gentleman, and I'm with the lady, and we're probably maybe 30 minutes.
I was kind of next to you, so like the girl was on top of him, so he was laying down. Tom was, and then I was being approached from behind, so my face was kind of near Tom's, and we were kind of making out on occasion. And then I was like, I gotta throw up.
She's like, I'm gonna throw up.
I had way too much champagne, so
like immediately
we like got up and we're like, all right, thank you. We gotta go now.
We may be back or we're not.
And then I ran into the luckily the bathrooms were unisex, so Tom could join me and hold my hair is short now, but help me with my hair out of my face, and I unfortunately had to throw up in the toilet. Oh, it's so embarrassing. Yeah. But I mean, it was not a great night. I still got the numbers of all those people. I don't think they knew that that's what happened, though.
No, and I guess so. We went back and we chatted with them and let them just basically know, like, oh yeah, she just wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, no big deal. Just a bottle of champagne.
But if they're listening right now,
yeah, sorry guys.
You got out of that situation fast.
Horrific that we've got.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you got out of that situation fast to make it to the bathroom in time.
I'm a quick mover. I get motion sickness, so I've been really good at like knowing the precipice when something's about to happen.
A lot of training.
And when you're being fucked from behind, it's very much the motion of like a boat. So I was like, oh, it is time to go.
Sorry. It's okay. There's nothing to be embarrassed by about that. You got out of there. It's all good.
I did. I handled it in a very it was very clean, and we got away real fast, and everything was good. I wasn't no one knew that was happening. It was just an internal embarrassing moment, and now all of your listeners will know. So.
Yeah.
So never be afraid, listeners, to just go and take care of business if you have to. You can see yourself out of any situation.
Or wear your C-bands and anti-motion sickness medicine.
All the Dramamine I can take.
Yep. I'm on board with that too. I get motion sickness very easily.
That's why we had to get rid of our waterbed.
Something tells me that's a true story.
It's not.
Oh, man. That was funny, though.
Yeah, Finn just likes to make things up sometimes.
Every once in a while. But I think maybe, unless you guys have something else super urgent that you want to share with the listeners besides times you've thrown up at the club, we want to give you that opportunity before we let you finish packing for your big trip.
Yeah. Two things. I think I should play a little didgeridoo because we mentioned that
In your
in
profile.
our conversations. I don't know how great it'll sound, but I will do a little ditty on my didgeridoo. A little digi on my didgeridoo. But I think the second thing is if any listeners are on the fence about whether or not they should do it, if they're going to feel a little jealous ever or anything like that, is to just start having conversations about it. We have a few friends that I think are interested in opening their relationship, but they're really afraid the other person isn't going to want it or how, that they'll react negatively. But if you don't talk about it with them, you'll never know. And why would you want to find that out years later and then be super dissatisfied that you spent so much time in a relationship where y'all really aren't able to communicate about those things? So, keep listening to the podcast, keep learning about what the scene is about, and know that, like, if you do step your toe into it, that the people there are really respectful. No one's trying to steal each other. Mm-hmm. Everyone's just trying to have, these kind of natural connections, I think, as humans we're supposed to have. Mm-hmm. And to try it out. It'll help a lot. At least it helped us.
And before you play us some Didge,
don't say it like that.
No, that's cool. I'm
cool.
with you, man.
It's the way you say it.
Yes, yeah.
It'll only be like a few seconds.
Or we could call it the Yidarchy. Would you prefer that?
Whatever. I think it was just the way you rolled that out was not the best.
So before that, you mentioned a couple of resources early on. You read Sex at Dawn. Were there any other resources or books that you found helpful as you kind of navigated through this? Or
well, they're not necessarily like non-monogamy kind of things, but Taming Your Gremlin. Okay, so we go to therapy. We didn't really talk about that much, but it's been really great, and I highly recommend anyone go to therapy, regardless of where you are in your relationship. Mm-hmm. But our therapist, who's awesome, and also in like an open relationship, which is pretty cool, she recommended reading Taming Your Gremlins, which it's basically just, and that sounds really stupid, I know, it's a self-help book, but basically it allows you to see like these kinds of gremlins in your head and about jealousy or whatever you're going through, even like, judgments on yourself, and realize them for what they are and let go of them. And it kind of gives you a structure to get past that. And I think a lot of, swinging is being comfortable with yourself and obviously trusting in your relationship. And that book really supports that, even though it has nothing to do with swinging.
100%. And I have nothing else to contribute that your listeners haven't already heard, but Ethical Slut, Sex at Dawn, podcasts, we got a thing, Swinging Down Under, and then
Star Talk.
Oh no! He's in the news lately, so I don't know about that one. No. And then, like I said, Sex with Emily is a really good one.
Yeah. Sorry.
Get your astrophysicist on while you're at it. So yeah.
And if you haven't tried vibrating cock rings, all I'm saying,
you're missing out.
You're missing out.
Sounds good.
All good tips.
Yeah.
It's also the first time Star Talk has been recommended, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
Which is what I love. Play some Didge.
All right.
Let's hear this. Play us out, Kat.
Go play us out.
When did you learn?
Oh my goodness, guys! This is how nerdy I am. I went to the Renaissance Festival in 7th grade and was like, "What's this?" And the guy was like, "That's a didgeridoo. Only a few people can play it." And I was like, "I'm gonna do it." So I spent my RenFest money there and bought this didgeridoo. And and now I can play a few things. I can't circle breathe, which would be pretty impressive. But I'm not that good. So
I feel like we're making a lot of talk up.
We're gonna make it sound really. It's not gonna be that cool. But also, fun fact: apparently, RenFests are the epicenter for all swingers to go to, from what we heard.
Yeah, that and we learned rodeos too.
What?
Remember, there was that rodeo near us that one weekend, and we looked in. Everybody on the swinging website had a rendezvous set up to meet at the rodeo.
I don't remember that.
Wow.
But I guess
for the rodeo clown fetish, right?
Yeah. The clown fetish.
The clown fetish.
And you weren't supposed to tell anybody.
Well, now we know. All right, I don't know how great this is going to sound, and I can't smile while I do it, so, okay.
Perfect. And Einstein loved it.
It's not that exciting.
No, but I like how Einstein tries to figure it out.
Yeah, can you just dub over it a really cool dubstep song? No.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna insert some really sweet didge music.
Go find some uncopyrighted didgeridoo and just play it over that one note she just blasts there.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you both and Einstein as well for your time, and we appreciate it.
Yeah,
and
it was awesome.
Thanks so much, guys.
And your excitement.
Yeah, this is awesome.
For balancing out some of my monotone approach to life.
Yeah, we need to.
You guys rock. You guys are doing an awesome thing, and you really are giving a voice to this community and this lifestyle in a way that I don't know that any other podcast is doing it in the same manner. Not that anyone's not doing it just as well in different formats, but your format is so helpful and eye-opening. So keep on doing what you're doing. You guys rock. So thank you.
That's awesome.
And thank you for contributing. We can't do it without you.
Exactly. We need everyone to share their story. So that is amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's say fate goodbye, and we'll talk soon.
Good night, guys.
Bye. Hoo-wee!
We're back. Did everyone like the didgeridoo?
I liked the didgeridoo. I've been practicing my circular breathing for...
You don't even own a didgeridoo.
I know, but it's also a beneficial skill if you're going down on a...
yes, I know.
Man or woman. Or... Anyway, so...
Thanks to Kat and Tom. They were a lot of fun, and we had a really blast. It was a really blast, guys. Thank you. We had a blast talking with them.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, go check out normalizingnonmonogamy.com/contest to get entered to win the $50 gift cards. This will be running through March 31st, and then we will pick the winners.
Yeah, please go do that. We're super excited about it. And the other thing we wanted to quickly mention, Cassie, you can get a free 6-month trial by using the link on our website.
And My One Condoms, our other new one. Go check out the links for My One Condom. Get yourself some custom fit condoms. They fit the best. And we will see everybody in a week for the next interview with... Christopher Smith. Yeah. Awesome interview. This one is awesome.
Yeah. He's really great to talk to.
We will see you in a week.
Wait. Our website is normalizingnonmonogamy.com.
We've said it like 14 times this episode.
I understand. But I also wanted to mention you can find us on Twitter or Cassidy under the screen name NNM Podcast. And actually, newer too, you can find us on Instagram. So that's it. That's all I wanted to mention.
Thank you to the one person still listening. You're our favorite fan, and we will see you in a week.
Wow. Bye, everyone.